So, NFT Demon, welcome to the Crypto Princess show. How are you today?
All right, how are you?
All good, all good. So, today we'll be covering your crypto story. But before we get into that, if I was to meet you in high school, what kind of person were you?
I was very independent. I was a troublemaker, but it would always be very smart ways of making trouble. And so when I graduated high school in the yearbook, I was voted both most likely to succeed and most likely to get arrested at the same time.
Oh my god. I think that's like a first off. I don't know if that happens often. Well, that obviously doesn't happen very often, but that's actually so sweet. Were you proud of that?
Yeah, oh yeah.
So you were really, really popular, I suppose.
I was I was friends with everybody, but I didn't really completely fit in with any particular group.
Okay. Okay, awesome. So from my understanding, you got into crypto really, really early. So for those people who are unaware, the genesis book of crypto was on the 3rd of January 2009. Um, roughly, do you remember when you got into crypto?
It would have been sometime in 2009. I don't remember if it was early or mid 2009. But yeah, it was back when people would go around just selling paper wallets.
Awesome. So how did you discover crypto? That's so early. Not very many people knew about Bitcoin in 2009.
Yeah, I was in the technology field. And so most of the people, like, there wasn't, the technology field wasn't as big back then as it is now,
Mhm.
just overall. It was a smaller thing. Even internet technology was not as big as it is now back in 2009. Um, and so it was uh, it was more or less every most people in technology that worked in technology knew about it because all the technology publications were covering it. Everyone in technology kind of thought it was a joke, but they still knew about it really early. But they just laughed it off pretty much.
Mhm, mhm. 2009 was absolutely ridiculously early. So most people in 2009 were mining Bitcoin. You could buy hundreds of Bitcoins for a US dollar. So tell me, how did you mine Bitcoin or did you buy Bitcoin?
No, I bought it actually at first from somebody who I knew in the industry who was mining it, and he set up a wallet, a paper wallet, and put something like several thousand Bitcoin on it for $10. So I gave him $10, and he gave me the wallet with like several thousand Bitcoin. Looking back, it probably wasn't a good idea because he would have had the seed phrase as well to take the wallet. But that's just how people did things back then. And he probably never would have taken the money, but
Okay.
kind of
So
is.
technically, if you had kept that, you probably could have bought most of Dubai. Nevertheless, first of all, what made you decide to buy Bitcoin? Because, like you said, a lot of people wrote Bitcoin off, didn't they, back then?
Yeah, it was just as a joke. I figured $10 so I could take it back, and everyone in the tech field would be like, "Haha, I got some Bitcoin," and everyone just kind of laughs. It's just kind of like a funny. Well, it was just kind of like a funny joke in a tech scene, and so for $10 just to make a joke, I was like, "Yeah, it's worth it. Might as well." And yeah, little did we know the joke was on us, but. But yeah, it was an interesting time. I guess you could say Bitcoin was the first meme coin
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
started as a meme, as a joke, so
Mhm.
it didn't start as something serious.
People didn't take it seriously, did they? Okay, so what happened to all of those Bitcoins?
I had to move in a very short amount of time back then from one place to another, and so a lot of stuff ended up getting left behind. And I just wasn't thinking about grabbing, this sheet of paper because it was only worth about $10 at the time. So, I wasn't thinking about, prioritizing what to get. So it just kind of got left behind. So it's probably in some landfill by now. I mean, it's paper, so it may have degraded, but who knows?
Mhm. So what year were you moving? Did you move in 2009?
Yeah, this would have been like 2009, maybe 2010, something like that.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Gosh. We've all heard the story of the Welshman who's lost a couple of thousand Bitcoin or a couple of hundred Bitcoin in the landmine over in Wales. But this is the thing, a lot of early adopters also lost thousands upon thousands of Bitcoin. Okay, so let's move over to 2010. Again, Bitcoin was less than $1. I think towards the end of 2010, it was still less than $1. It didn't do too much in 2010. So what were you doing in 2010? Were you still sort of looking into Bitcoin? Was it still on your radar by any chance?
No, I had completely written it off. Yeah, as
Mhm,
did, most of the texting, and it was still just kind of like it was an old joke at that point. But you didn't really hear about it, so it wasn't like something that you would be regularly hearing about. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, I don't think I heard about it again until around like a 2011 or so.
Okay, let's look at 2011. So 2011, Silk Road started. Ross Ulbricht started Silk Road. You could buy literally whatever you wanted on Silk Road. I understand you were using Bitcoin and you were purchasing items off Silk Road. Tell me about that. How did you hear about Silk Road?
Yeah. Well, again, it was just kind of like being in the tech scene. It was just something that people talked about. But I also used to sell weed in Wisconsin, and so when I heard about Silk Road, then I was immediately like, oh well, I should probably get some Bitcoin because I knew there was better weed in California. But back then, it was hard to make the connections with California. Not a whole lot of people in Wisconsin had connections to California, and not a whole lot of other states other than the West Coast were legal for even medicinal marijuana at that point. And so yeah, there wasn't as plentiful here in the U.S. But I knew you could get good quality stuff there, so I started buying bitcoins just to buy mass quantities of cannabis and sell those in Wisconsin.
Mhm, mhm. So that was 2011. Um, how easy was it to do the transaction on Silk Road?
Doing a transaction on Silk Road was fairly easy, but I was already in the tech field, so maybe like my grandma might say uh, it would
Mhm.
be very difficult, but for me it was easy.
Okay. So 2012, if we look at 2012, Silk Road was still up and about. I think Silk Road was taken down in 2013. 2012 was a halving year. We went from a couple of dollars to just over $10 uh, for the price of Bitcoin. So it was still pretty much still a novelty. Were you still using it to purchase things off Silk Road?
Yeah, I was, and I wasn't at that point stacking any
Mhm,
Bitcoin. I should have been, but I wasn't. I didn't see it as an investment. It was just a means
mhm.
of currency because you couldn't use your debit card on Silk Road. So, um, all it was to me was a means of currency to get whatever.
So let's talk about 2013 because quite a lot happened in 2013. So in 2013, Bitcoin had two price surges in quarter one, I believe, and then obviously in quarter four when it actually made its all-time high, and it went just above, I think, 1,000 US dollars. People were starting to take it a little bit seriously. we had a lot of people from China come in, and it was actually the Chinese market that pushed it up in 2013 to make its actual all-time high. And then we also had Ross Ulbricht getting arrested and Silk Road being taken down as well. So quite a lot of things happened in 2013. Tell me about your story in 2013.
In 2013, I was still selling weed, and I was running a cell phone business, doing wholesale consulting and also doing white hat hacking of Androids. So I would hack Android phones for manufacturers.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And what about Bitcoin? When you saw it go up, you saw the two spikes. I don't know. Were you keeping an eye on Bitcoin at the time? There was a spike, I believe, in Q1.
I
Pretty
mean, I
sure it was.
was a bit, but to me, it was just still just a currency. So, whatever it was at, I would just buy and then pretty much immediately spend. So I wasn't paying like that close attention to it.
Then we also had Silk Road being taken down as well. So was that a part of you? Was that it for you in 2013? When Silk Road was taken down, did you stop using Bitcoin, stop buying Bitcoin for a couple of years?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't real long before other markets started popping up that were similar to Silk Road. So I took a slight break, but then once new markets started popping up, I came right back in.
And what were you doing? Were you still buying your weed?
Yeah, I was buying like pounds of weed.
Right. Okay. Okay. Awesome. So that was 2013, which was Bitcoin's first bull run. 2014 was the bear market. Bitcoin obviously spent the whole year, most of the year going down, decreasing in price. What happened in your personal life in 2014?
Just kind of the same, just running businesses uh,
Hmm.
in Web 2, and staying involved in the tech scene, primarily through uh, Android development, stuff like that.
Hmm. Did you? I think you also had brain cancer. You were diagnosed with brain
Yeah,
cancer. That
I
was.
just started the 4-year run with brain cancer in 2014. So it actually had spread from my knee to my lung to my brain.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's a lot to deal with.
I started some overseas treatment in the UAE, some experimental stuff. I'll probably never know what they gave me, but uh, 4 years later, I finally went into remission, and it's been now like 6, 7 years.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. But now you're saying your health is better.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's a positive. So in 2014, when you were diagnosed with brain cancer, is that when you started to look into art or try to
No,
get into?
I actually didn't start to look into art until much later, until about 2020.
Right. Okay.
But the
Okay.
brain cancer gave me my ability to do art, but didn't actually realize that until later.
Okay. What do you say? What do you mean by the ability to do art?
So there's something called neuroplasticity when your brain goes through trauma, and it can form new pathways. And in some instances, it's not extremely rare, but it is somewhat rare. You can form new abilities. Some people even like end up speaking languages that they've never learned, or there's different things. And
Gosh.
I just formed pathways for art, I guess.
Okay. Wow. I mean, that sounds like a superpower, actually, when you say it like that. Okay, so so that was 2014. You had the brain cancer. 2015 was a recovery year. 2016 was a halving year. 2017 was Bitcoin's second bull run. We started off the year around about 1,000 US dollars. We ended the year at just under 20,000 US dollars. In Bitcoin's second bull run, were you in crypto?
Yes, I wasn't. Well, I got back in during the second bull run. Um, because no, uh, the second bull run actually wouldn't have been 2017. That would have been the third one, I think. Um, I don't know. I think the first one was when it spiked up to $1 from like nothing, and then the second one was $1,000. I don't know. It depends upon how you quantify it. But 2017, I got back in because smart contracts, Ethereum started rolling out with smart contracts. And so meme coins were starting up. And that was the very, very early days of meme coins. But that was something that that interested me. So I got back in 2017.
Okay. Let's talk about Ethereum. So the idea of Ethereum, etc., came out in 2013. Vitalik Buterin wrote the white paper. 2014, they announced it to the world at the Bitcoin conference. Again, in 2014, they did the ICO. They raised a huge amount of money in a very short space of time. And then 2015, they launched Ethereum, and it made a lot of millionaires. Then it obviously 2016, and then 2017, which we're talking about. So just for those people who are unaware, smart contracts and NFTs, they're products of the blockchain. Web3 will be built on blockchain technology. So it is the future. It's not going anywhere. And when we're going to talk about NFTs now, with NFTs, an NFT is code. It's on the blockchain, and what it does is it proves ownership of a certain item. Now, commonly NFTs are associated with images, with art, etc., but in reality they can truly be anything. They can even be the deeds to your house or a shopping list. They can literally be anything. And all this narrative that we've got going on right now with the RWA narrative, that's pretty much NFTs, and we've got smart contracts in there as well. Ethereum was a game changer in the cryptocurrency space. There's plenty of things that Ethereum does better than Bitcoin can do. Ethereum is a type of world computer, or that's what the vision was with Vitalik Buterin when he thought up Ethereum. So 2017, you got back into crypto because of NFTs and smart contracts, and obviously the memes, etc. So were you actively buying or investing?
I was investing in meme coins. I wasn't investing in NFTs at that point. I hadn't actually really even heard of NFTs that early.
Okay,
Um,
yep.
yeah, and CryptoPunks were actually on a completely different standard originally than as NFTs now. And so that was kind of like a one-off, like custom coded project, basically. So I didn't hear about those until much later. But those were really the only real NFTs in 2017, I think, that came out. But there were meme coins that were coming out back then.
Hmm. So were you investing in the meme coins, or were you just trading them?
Yeah, I would. Well, I mean, I was trading them, I guess it depends upon what you consider investing versus trading. But I
Hmm.
mean, none of them you hold. I held that long. I
No.
should have, if I got into Shiba Inu very early too. But Shiba Inu, I looked up the statistics. Like, if you bought $1,000 worth of it at launch, it would have gone down to $8.91 and stayed there for like a year or so before it pumped back up, and that same $1,000 at launch and $8.91 for a long time would now be worth like $4 million or something like that.
Hmm.
Uh,
Gosh.
yeah,
Wow. But hodling's really, really hard anyway. So yeah, there are many different types of traders. There we have scalpers, which literally trade on minute time durations from seconds to minutes. They technically do dozens, if not hundreds of trades a day. We have day traders. They They don't keep a trade on overnight. They do a couple of trades in a day. And we have swing traders who will keep their trade over for overnight, maybe a couple of weeks, a couple of months. Position traders, they normally technically keep their trades open for months, if not even years. I'm mostly a position trader, and then obviously we have the investors. Investing is like watching grass grow and paint dry, and if you're not doing it like that, you're doing it wrong. Okay, so that was 2017. 2018 came along, it was the bear market. Then we had the recovery year in 2019. 2020 was a halving year, and also the pandemic hit in 2020. So we had lockdowns all over the place. People were dying, people were losing their jobs, people were struggling. There was a lot of uncertainty. Businesses were closing down, the governments were printing money. People were getting stimulus checks, which helped with the 2021 bull run. I think a lot of people put their stimulus checks into the 2021 bull run, but 2020 was, a difficult year for most people in crypto and obviously outside of crypto. So just before the 2021 bull run in 2020, did you come back to crypto, or what were you doing?
Yeah, I did. But I had just gotten out of jail. I had gotten the FBI and the federal government had accused me of terrorism. And
Oh
so I
gosh.
spent 16 months from 2018 to early 2020 awaiting trial because they held me without bail. They didn't give me bail. And it took 16 months. And then they finally admitted that the whole thing was was false, and that they didn't have any evidence against me, and they dismissed it. They dismissed the terrorism charge. But that was after spending 16 months. And so I had just gotten out of jail in February of 2020. And so COVID didn't hit that long after that.
That amount of stress could actually kill someone. Um, God, I'm really sorry to hear that. That's absolutely terrible. Gosh, you really have been through it, haven't you? Okay. And what about crypto then in 2021? Is that were you back in crypto?
Yeah. And then I started actually running meme coins for a while. So I got back into crypto, made a bunch of money on Safe Moon and a bunch of those other ones, Safe Mars, Elongate, or a bunch of like really big ones. It was a lot easier with meme coins to make money back then because there were only like 5, 10 serious projects being launched each day. Um, and now you have 10,000 that pretend to be serious, but then they all rug. But I mean, back then there were only 5 to 10 that would even pretend to be serious. There were some people, because some people had algorithms, because so much stuff took off back then, that some people had bots that would put, like $5 in every token that launched. So there were some tokens that launched that never marketed themselves, but some people that created bots to just create random tokens and then rug them after all the bots that are putting money into the thing. So yeah, it became kind of like but they still made money in the end. The people who were throwing $5 and everything, they had people that were literally just taking their $5, but they would also make 1,000x on something else, in a week. So, but yeah, it was. Then I got into meme coins. I started running meme coins. I had one hit, $800 million market cap. Um, but then fell. But then the meme coin market kind of started to fizzle off, and that's when I got into NFTs.
Sorry, can we just go back to that? So you created a meme coin, which peaked at 800 million US dollars.
Yeah, for the market
Okay.
cap.
Was it rugged, or what
No,
happened to it?
No, it's just a lot of people started selling, and then people started panic selling.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
Okay. Okay. How much money did you make off it?
that one, I actually didn't make a whole lot of money just because I didn't want to hurt the chart. So I wasn't
Mhm.
really making large sales. Uh,
Mhm.
but probably, well, I mean, I made a decent amount, probably like 20 to 50,000 off that one, I imagine. But I
Mhm.
was just doing slow sales every couple hours, small sales, and then eventually it would accumulate. But I was hoping that it would stay at those levels for longer because I could have, you could have pulled a lot more. But
Mhm. So tell me about NFTs then. So when did you decide to make NFTs? Because from my understanding, last bull cycle 2021, you were one of the top NFT artists. So let's actually talk about 2021. So 2021 was the Bitcoin's third bull run. Started off the year, I think the low was something like in the 30s, and then we hit an all-time high in November 2021 when the market hit 69,000 US dollars. It was a double top. So we had a peak in April 2021 where it hit 64,000 US dollars. The China FUD hit. We fell 50%. We ranged at 30,000 for a good couple of months. Bitcoins were taken off the exchanges. The supply shock led to the actual all-time high in November 2021. And then we had the SEC come out and issue Wells notices to cryptocurrency exchanges, cryptocurrency projects. And naturally, it was the end of the 4-year cycle and we slid into a bear market. NFTs and metaverse gaming, they were the hype of the last bull run. And you did really, really well as an NFT creator. Tell me about that.
yeah, so I came in a bit after the craze had started, but not quite the peak of it yet. And I had realized that BNB, or BNB
Mhm.
Chain, which back then was called BSC, was the third largest chain for NFTs. But there were no real known artists, or no no real known artists on the chain. And so I decided to launch a collection and just take the whole chain by storm. So my first collection launched, which was called Cartel Punks, and that became the first collection on the chain to ever mint out, the first 10,000 piece collection to mint out in under a month. We did it in 2 weeks. And then people wanted more collections. So I kept creating more collections and eventually within like 3 or 4 months, became like the biggest artist indisputably on the chain. Unfortunately, the chain was the third largest back then. Now it's practically nothing. But so I kind of backed the wrong horse in some ways. But that got my name out there in a way that if going with Ethereum or Solana might not have allowed.
Okay, so your first collection, what was that called again? It was called
Cartel punks.
Cartel Punks. And how much were the NFTs retailing for?
It was like a sliding scale, depending upon how far along in the minting process it was. But they started at about $10 and went up to about $50.
And how many NFTs were there in the collection?
10,000.
10,000. And did they all sell out?
Yeah,
Okay, so that must have made you a huge amount of money.
yeah, it did, and I put a lot of it back into the project. Uh, but yeah, it did. And the other projects I did after that, one of them didn't sell out, but that was due to some due to a particular issue. But the rest of them all sold out as well, and so it created a nice time.
Okay, so I didn't actually get into NFTs last bull cycle. I've never actually got into NFTs. Um, so I suppose you had a reputation then, so an NFT from yourself would be worth more because people knew you. I know that there was, say, for example, NFTs went absolutely crazy. Like there was a picture of a rock and it sold for over a million US dollars. Tell me, how are you making your NFTs? If you're making a collection of 10,000 NFTs, what is that? Are you using AI or how do you do it?
No, and AI wasn't really around back then. But you do it in layers. So you create a base character, and
Mhm,
then you have layer files that you draw on top, and then each one you save as a separate file. So you'll save like a white t-shirt and then a suit and then like a Hawaiian shirt or whatever, and then those will be saved in shirts, and those will go on where a shirt would be on the base character, and then you might have hats, you might have different eyes, different mouths, things like that in different folders. Then you throw them all in backgrounds as well. Then you throw them all into a program, and that program shuffles them up and creates the collection.
mhm. And how easy did you find the process of putting them onto the blockchain?
Putting them on the blockchain is pretty easy. There's a lot of tools that make it extraordinarily easy to do. Uh, the hardest part in the beginning was figuring out how to generate all the layers and stuff. But then I just ended up finding someone on Fiverr who does it for like $5. So I was like, "There's no point in even learning this if I could just get it done for $5 every time I need it."
Mhm, mhm. Okay, awesome. So what did you do with the money? So you put all the money back into other projects?
I put most of it back into other projects or the first project.
Mhm,
I mean, all of my projects, there was a time when everyone who minted was in profit. So they were all successful on the secondary market too. None of they didn't last as long as now. Although you can still go to the telegrams. I never I never deleted the telegram or anything like that. There's always the possibility that one day they might come back. Um, but they're mostly done now. But minters were in profit for a decent amount of time, so people were pretty happy with the investment usually.
mhm. And how about yourself? Were you given some sort of celebrity status being the number one NFT creator on the BNB chain? BNB chain was massive last bull cycle.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it got my name out there to a lot of people, and a lot of the celebrities started contacting me. A lot of celebrities, like musicians um, and Hollywood people, stuff like that, started contacting me for just general guidance and advice.
Mm,
And that's how I ended up building what I do more now, which is consulting. But
mhm,
yeah, everyone just wanted to talk to an NFT artist, and I was one of the most public ones. I mean, people had a bigger name at the time because he was the biggest on Ethereum, and Ethereum was the largest chain. But you still had to do work to figure out how to find him or how to get a hold of him. Whereas I was a lot easier to contact, so it would usually just uh, come to
Can you
me.
drop some names? Who was contacting you? What celebrities were contacting you?
I mean, most of them we sign have you have to sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, before they
Mm.
even talk to you. But I did publicly work with Lil Pump, the multi-platinum rapper, and
Is that
yeah,
the guy from Black Eyed Peas?
no, he was around like 2017 to 2019. He was big, but yeah, and there's different Facebook pages that I have that I've gotten follows from Snoop Dogg, Justin Bieber, Selena Gomez, Lady Gaga, Tom Cruise, Coldplay, probably some other ones. Um, but yeah, I mean, So I've gotten people to follow different pages and stuff. But yeah, it's been a wild ride.
Okay, so that was 2021. It was a hugely successful year for you. You made lots of money. You put it back into the projects. A lot of people. You got a lot of status. And you were doing really, really well. But then comes 2022. The bear market hits. Did you know there was a difference between a bull market and a bear market? And how did 2022 hit you?
I mean, I knew there was a difference, but I didn't expect it to be as extreme or as long as it was for the NFT market. Because when the bull market hit, the NFT market like pretty much basically completely died. Pretty much, uh, it went from crazy to dead in a period of like weeks. And so I wasn't expecting it to be so drastic or to be so quick. And that was part of my problem is I didn't budget money expecting it to be how it was. But that was the first cycle that NFTs had really existed. So there's
Mm-hmm.
really no reference, or had not had exist, but had taken off, had been something that people were buying. So there was no reference point on how long it would last or anything like that.
I remember that. I remember it seemed like NFTs and the metaverse, especially, and even to a certain point, gaming will just last forever. And I'm actually really surprised gaming is not a massive narrative this bull cycle. Because I did expect a gaming. And then obviously we had Facebook change its name to Meta as well. And that just gave it even more like the metaverse is going to last forever. And, you know, NFTs, but NFTs have just evolved now. Um, and are they,
Decentraland and Sandbox are still trying, but
Mhm.
I don't know. I have I have the 92nd best plot in all of Decentraland, according to OpenSea. It's right in the Decentraland sign. It's in the heart of everything. So it's like a crazy Decentraland spot, but now Decentraland's kind of down. But hopefully they could get back up. I would have thought by now custom metaverses would have been a larger thing, but
Yeah,
maybe we'll see that sometime during this bull cycle.
yeah, yeah. No, okay. So you've got a plaque in Decentraland.
Or I have a whole like nightclub thing built.
Oh, okay. That's really, really cool. That's really, really cool. I remember when virtual lands, people were buying or companies were buying virtual lands for millions of US dollars. And obviously it's completely and utterly worthless now. Okay, awesome. So then obviously the bear market hit, NFTs just went literally, they died out very, very quickly. So 2023 was a recovery year. 2024, last year, great year for Bitcoin, great year for meme coins, not so great for altcoins and NFTs as well, and all the rest of it. What was 2024 like for you?
I By that point I was mostly doing Solana meme coins. So,
Hmm.
I was just playing the Solana meme coin game. That was before Pump Fun. So there was still a lot less being launched. And it was still a lot better market than it is now. Um,
Hmm.
but even in the bear market, it was still a lot better because um, now it's just so flooded. Uh, but yeah, everything pre Pump Fun was decent. So that's what I was mostly doing is just Solana meme coins.
So, for those people who are not aware, there's a massive difference between meme coins and utility coins, and then obviously Bitcoin. Leaving Bitcoin out of it, meme coins are literally just a JPEG. They run on blockchain technology. They they don't, most of them don't have much most of them don't have utility or much utility, and they run on hype. Yeah, they run on hype. Whereas you've got altcoins. With altcoins, it takes a lot more money to make an altcoin. They've got utility, they can be in any narrative. They can be, you need expertise. Sometimes you need premises. You need people who are highly qualified and knowledgeable behind a altcoin, if that makes sense. So there are lots and lots of differences. But if you pick the right meme coin, one meme coin, you can easily become a millionaire. But it's very, very rare. It's very, very rare. Have you, so you were making the meme coins? Can I just double check? You were making the meme coins. You were the founder of these meme coins.
No, I was just investing mostly at that point.
Just investing. Okay. And did you hit it big with any of them?
Yes, sometimes I'd hit it big, sometimes I'd lose. It's nobody always wins.
Okay, let's look at 2025 now. So a lot of legitimacy has been added into the market. We've got countries and institutions raising billions of pounds to buy Bitcoin. Alt season is not here just yet, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks / months, we'll have a good alt season as well. Retail at the moment is not in the market as well. What about for you? How's 2025 been for you?
Right now, most of what I do is consulting. So the celebrities don't really need a whole lot of consulting right now, but I'm consulting a lot of very large businesses, creating custom blockchain solutions to help fix problems, in their industries or their businesses. It's a lot more boring stuff than like meme coins and NFTs. Those are fun. This is more like moving supply chains or moving chain of custody records or that stuff over to blockchain. Uh, but yeah, I basically just consult with them and then propose custom solutions and then subcontract out the proper people to build their solutions for them.
Okay. Awesome. And then what's next for you? So what's next for the rest of 2025 and moving forwards?
I'll probably just continue the consulting.
Mhm.
And who knows? Maybe other opportunities will present along the way. We'll see.
NFT Demon, it was absolutely lovely for you to come on and share your crypto journey with us so far. So you got into crypto literally very, very early in 2009. You had a huge amount of Bitcoin. Unfortunately, it got lost. You had a lot of personal issues. You had the brain cancer, then you had the issue with the FBI, and then you've come back. You've done your NFTs. You've launched your collections. You were, the biggest NFT artist on the BNB Chain. A lot of celebrities, etc. You're consulting now as well. It was absolutely lovely hearing your story. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing it with us.
Yeah, thank you.